Hey, everybody. Kristen here with Bariatric Mindset on this lovely sunny Sunday afternoon. It's really beautiful outside where I am. Yesterday we had some snow, and that's just not typical in the South, although it is probably something that we expect in January or February. So I wanted to pop on really quick to really talk about some topics that a lot of people want to know about this time of year, and that is regain and restarting. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of regain and restarting is that a lot of people will or have struggled with regain on this journey. And I personally talk about the psychological aspects of regain. There are a lot of different reasons for regain that are medical, that are biochemical, and those are not the ones that I talk about because I think that those are best handled by a medical professional. The regain that I talk about is the grazing. That's from the grazing, that comes from the emotional eating, that comes from really, hey, how are you? And hey, everybody who's popping on. The regain that I talk about is largely behavioral. And as a result of behaviors, as a result of eating off track consistently, as a result of not having a significant or static plan. And so this can be a struggle because it can throw you into a spiral. And one of the things that I've seen about regain is that once we have surgery, we think, okay, this is it. And so it's really about using this surgery as a tool. It's really about using this gift, this tool, to help us grow beyond the tool and to utilize new behaviors that we are able to take on because of the tool, right? As a pre-op, I know many other people felt this way. Like I felt totally out of control with food. And I know a lot of people who feel that way after surgery. And so what I guide people with is these small behavioral shifts that help you put yourself back into the driver's seat of your life, to use your tool as it was intended. And I firmly believe that you can do that. And it begins by restarting. And this restarting isn't something that happens on Monday or 2 weeks from now or next month or before your sister's wedding or because you're going on vacation. Restarting is an every single day encounter. It's an every single day encounter. And it's really about acknowledging your choices and living in the present. It's about mindfulness. It's about learning from missteps or mistakes or whatever you want to call it, right? Instead of blaming and shaming and guilting ourselves because you had a donut at last week's meeting or whatever it is. But so often people take that one event and they catastrophize it into meaning that they're a failure. They create meaning from it. So that meaning then gets catastrophized into every other thing that you may have done that may be considered off track. And so because of that event, the narrative that you spin in your head is that you're never going to XYZ, that, well, not today, I've already blown it, let me go start, next week or tomorrow. And then it just gets blown out of proportion. And so this type of behavior is the one that leads to regain, because you blaming and shaming and guilting yourself is part of the issue. It's because when you make yourself feel like crap for eating that one thing or that one dinner or whatever, then you literally like sink yourself even deeper emotionally. And then what do? What's the result? What's the next action to make yourself feel better? And so many turn right back to food. And so it begets this cycle that happens all over again. And that's one of the patterns that leads to regain. Hey. And so this is about restarting at any moment, at every moment. This is about taking back your power mentally and emotionally. And these are the things that I talk about all the time, whether somebody's experienced regain or not. Regain is one of the things that it creates shame, and it creates blame, and it creates all of these emotions that are really hard for someone to process because they don't want to deal with those feelings. And so by avoiding the feelings, again, what's the next thing that happens? Well, I'm already here. I might as well go and do this, or I might as well go and do that. And so the end result is then flipping back into that cycle. And so I strongly encourage everyone who is grappling with regain or with, let's say, a negative cycle to start learning from that cycle. Because how you get out of that cycle is by learning from that cycle. That cycle keeps repeating itself because it's attempting to teach you something about you. It's attempting to show you that you can get out of the cycle. But when you're in the cycle, you don't see anything but the cycle. Are you guys with me? You don't see anything but the cycle. So in order to get out of this negative spiral, this negative cycle, you've got to do something different. You've got to see something different. You've got to acknowledge that I'm not going to get here. I'm not going to get there, that place that I want to go, by staying in here. And yet, so many are committed to that cycle over and over because they don't know what other options they have. And so one of the examples, and this is coming from actually my new book that's coming out at the end of the month, Release Your Regain, is if you've, and I like to talk about athletes, whether it's Olympic athletes or professional athletes, and give you guys metaphors or analogies because we're no different. You may think that, oh, well, I've had, obesity my entire life and I've had this surgery and, how could I be even comparing? How can I even compare to them? But I'm showing you and I'm sharing you some of the hacks that they do that you're not doing. Right? So after a game, after the quarterback throws an interception into the other, team's hands, what are they doing that very next week? They're watching those tapes. They're learning from those tapes. They're looking for what are the gaps. They're looking for what they can learn from that play. All those who are experiencing regain, they're not learning from that play. They're still stuck in the cycle. They're still throwing interceptions. They're not learning from it. Why? Why are they not looking? Why are they not learning? Right? Because they didn't know to look there. And so this is a great analogy that we can utilize in our lives. What can you learn from the pizza party at work on Friday? What can you learn from the people who are bringing crap in your house? What can you learn, right, from the triggers that you're having? What can you learn from the emotions that come up? What can you learn? You can learn a lot if you're willing to pay attention, if you're willing to practice awareness, if you're willing to recognize that the food is not the problem, right? It's the pattern. It's the pattern that you continually engage in, right? The pattern of behavior that you may be committed to. And it's acknowledging that you didn't have all the information before. You couldn't see it from all sides. Because you were just focused on that one thing, that one perspective. And so what I want to teach you is that you can see things from other perspectives when you're willing to go back, pay attention, analyze, and break it down. And then you can take that information and learn it moving forward. Right? That's just one thing that I talk about in the upcoming book. And so additionally, through this and through other insights, you can lose your regain and you can continually restart, because none of us are perfect. And I think it was a Michael Jordan quote, like about how many times he's failed. And I forget the exact quote, but I see people all the time in our community talking about failure because they ate off track this day, or failure because they ate off track that day, or they made poor choices, or what have you. And so if you're not using personal failures to teach you, my friends, my loves, you're doing it all wrong, because you're going to continue to fall down on the same things that have tripped you up for time and time again, moment and moment again, unless you're willing to shift your perspective, unless you're willing to see it differently, unless you're willing to learn from it. And that is what I want to guide you to do. So regain is one of the things, like I said, that brings shame, that brings heartache, that brings a struggle, but it's not the end. It's not the end. If you're somebody who's experienced regain, and while I'm here, let me also shout out to Bariatric Regain in Canada, because I told them that I would give them a little shout out. So hello, everybody. So about regain is not the end. It's something that has happened in your life because it's meant to teach you something. You got to that regain because you didn't learn the lessons that you needed to learn. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It means that you get to try again. It means you get to restart, reframe, and utilize your learning from the behaviors, right? Because there are certain behaviors that are not serving you. And it's about figuring out which ones those are. It's about figuring out which emotional states you might be in when you're eating off track. It may be that specific foods are triggers for you and that you need to work on being done with them, right? So there is a different answer for everybody. This is not a one-size-fits-all situation, because everybody is different when it comes to their experiences with food. And that's probably a whole different rabbit hole. But I know some people that can do really well on a balanced plan, and I know others that can't go anywhere near white flour or white sugar. Know thyself is the cardinal rule. You need to know thyself so that you know what to avoid if that's how your brain works, and what is okay for you for your health. Okay, so know thyself is another lesson that needs to be learned. And this is not a one size fits all. And that's important to recognize, that you've got to do what's best for you, and learning about you is part of your journey. It is part of the post-op process, because you're not going to eat like everybody else eats. And I'm not even talking about portion size. I'm talking about specific, even specific foods, right? Too carb or not too carb? That is the question, right? So, I just wanted to come on here to strongly encourage you guys to refocus your attention, to get away from the weight, the power, the energy and the shame that so many are committed to with regards to regain, to shift your perspective to I'm restarting every day, and this is a game on. This is a game on for my mindset. I can learn from it, I can grow from it, and I can lose that regain. So I wanted to share that with you. And before we get the book launched at the end of February, I do have a 14-day reboot. So it's the 14-day Bariatric Mindset reboot that is coming out, and I will share the link below. It is $29 for 2 weeks of videos and prompts that walk you through a day-by-day reboot. 14 days, $29. There's a video every day. We have a mini Facebook group that we have started. So if this is something that you are interested in, I will post the link below and you can most certainly join. We are starting tomorrow, but this is something that will be up again and again, and we will continue to redo over and over. So if you are interested in the 14-day reboot, I encourage you to sign up and join with us because it is going to be amazing. So we have the 14-day mindset reboot, and then of course at the end of the month, Release Your Regain is releasing on Kindle. So I'm so excited about that. So for those experiencing regain, I'm here to tell you the game is not over. It is not finished. We are just getting started. We are just getting warmed up. You have the ability to take your power back, to restart, and to re-engage in your process. I highly encourage you to. And that's where I want you to start thinking, is that this is not game over. We are just getting warmed up. We are just getting warmed up. So I'm sending you all a ton of love on this Sunday afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you guys again, either on the page here or at Bariatric Mindset, or in our 14-day reboot, if that is something that serves you well. So sending you all a lot of love. Have a great day. Game on, everybody. All right. Bye.